Hello everybody and welcome. This is Roland Hartmann from Graphic in Motion, and in this tutorial I want to show you how to customize my watercolor and ink slideshow template. Before we get started with the customization, I just want to point out that inside the project folder you will find two different After Effects projects. One of them is called short and the other one long. So we have two versions here. The first version, the short version, is about 1 minute and 20 seconds long and is exactly the same that you saw in the preview video. And the long version is about 1 minute longer. It's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds long and has approximately the double amount of placeholders. So depending on how many videos or pictures you want to put in your slideshow, just choose the version that fits you best. Okay, let's get started with the customization. First of all, let's take a look at the render composition that should be already open. And you see that in the render composition we have all our different scenes and we have the color correction presets up here, but we will deal with these a little bit later. I want to start by customizing the scenes. So you see the scenes are always kind of similar. We always have text elements, we have ink stroke and watercolor elements and some paint splatters, and this is the same for more or less all the scenes. Also these with footage, you see, of course, in the template there is no footage, there are just placeholders. So let's get started and let's customize this scene as an example. They all work exactly the same to customize, so I will just explain one scene. So let's start. It is scene number 4 that we are working on here. You can always see this by the number of the footage. So scene number 4, and you can open up the scene by just double clicking on the composition. You can also just enter the scenes folder, and here you can find all the scenes that are used in this template. Inside our scene, you see that here we have all the elements, and here we have a text layer, and the text layer is of course our title here. And we have a very important layer, and this is the color setup layer. Therefore I have to open up my effect controls panel, and now you see that here we have a bunch of color controls which control all the colors of our elements in the scene. But first of all, let's import footage so that we can see something here. Therefore I just go to File and Import. It's unfortunately now outside of the recording area, but just choose Import and import file. You can also press Ctrl I or Command I on the Mac. And I will just import some picture. Let's take this one here. And I recommend you to create a new folder for your footage, because if you import a bunch of pictures or videos, it can get a little bit crazy. So to keep the overview, keep it organized, create a footage folder and drag your imported picture inside here. So let's get back to our scene number 4. Now we have to open up our footage placeholder, and you can find them inside your scene. So you see footage S04 means footage scene number 4, but you can also choose them or find them in the footage placeholders folder. So let's open this up, and you see we have all the footages here. So let's take footage S04, open it up, and now just drag in our picture on top of these placeholders. I can delete or just make them invisible. And now I have to scale it. So I press S and scale my picture so that it fits the frame. But please be aware that in some scenes the size of the image placeholders is a little bit different. So this one, for example, has a classic 16:9 Full HD size for the placeholder, or I should say for the footage composition. And for example, if we open up scene number 6, which is the scene where we have 2 images or 2 footage placeholders included. So let's take a look at this here. For example, if I open up the scene number 6, footage 1, you see that this has a square resolution. So if you want to add photos that are not horizontally but vertically orientated, it's maybe better to put them into these placeholders than into the normal 16:9 placeholders. Okay, I just will close these scene number 6 compositions here and continue working our scene number 4. So if we take a look now, our footage is visible here and we can continue to change the colors a bit. So I will just select the color setup layer and I will go into my effect controls, and now I can pick some colors. So you can of course use the color picker and pick a color directly from your footage. So maybe I want to take this sky background here, and then I can change it a bit, make it a bit more saturated. Okay, let's say this is good, and let's change the watercolor number 2 to maybe something like this, some darker color right here. And then you see we have these paint splatters here, and they are paint splatters number 2 here, and I want to change it and take color from our car, so maybe something like darker color here, and now saturate it a bit more, make it a bit darker so that everything blends nicely. And then we have paint splatters number 3, and if you are not sure what element is what, you can just come down and then you will see, okay, paint splatter number 3, we have 2 of them here, so these 2 will be controlled by one color control, and let's change their color quickly. So take over a really dark color, which is now nearly black, and yeah, this looks good. And then of course we can change, or we could change, the watercolor number 3 elements. These are all the background watercolor elements, and if I change the color here, you will see this changes the whole look dramatically, but for now I do not want to change them, or maybe let's just make them a really dark purple so that we have a little bit of a color here. And let's go back to our render comp and check the result. Now I'm on the wrong scene, so I need to go to scene number 4. Let's take a look. And I think this looks pretty cool. One thing I forgot, of course you can edit the title, so go back to the scene number 4 and just double click the text layer and type in whatever you want, to change the font if you want, change the size and everything. Another important thing, or another hint, is if you want to put in another title. So let's just do this quick. I just will put in here Sailing Man USA, because this is where this photo was taken, and maybe I just want to add some more information. It's a small town on Route 66, so some additional information, and maybe let's make this a little bit smaller, about 85. And let's change this leading a bit to about 45. Okay, and let's say we want this to be our title. So now you see the title is a little bit offset, and yeah, the ink stroke doesn't really fit. The size of the ink stroke is now a little bit too small. So maybe I want to change or exchange this ink stroke. And by the way, you can do this with all the elements. You can exchange them on the fly, and I will show you how you do that. So let's select our ink stroke, and let's move to our project folder and open up the assets folder. And inside the assets folder, you can find all assets that are available in this template. And we have the PSD layers, and the PSD layers are just all elements, but in PSD version, so not animated. And you can also take them and put them somewhere just as a decoration, but they won't animate. The animated objects are inside the other folder. So we have ink strokes here, we have paint splatters here, we have the reveal mats that reveal the footages, and we have the watercolors, watercolor animations, and of course the sound effects, but we will deal with these a little bit later. So for now we want to deal with the ink strokes, and yeah, you see that we have 13 different ink strokes here, and if you want to take a look at them, you can just open them up and you see that these are just different ink strokes. And maybe this one is quite good for my example here, so I will take ink stroke number 9. Go back to scene number 4, select the layer that you want to replace, and then just drag down your new item, hold down Alt, and then just release the mouse, and now you see that the ink stroke has changed. Now I press S and I just want to unlink the scale here and just scale my ink stroke that it fits my title. So I want to scale it up on the X-axis a little bit and maybe just scale it up on the Y-axis a little bit, and now just reposition it a bit. And now we should be good. So let's take a look at the render comp. And you see now I've exchanged the ink stroke, and now it's a little bit fitting a little bit better to my new title. And as I said, you can do this with all the elements. So for example, if you want to change the reveal matte, by the way, I probably should explain this. We have two footages here with two different reveal mattes, and one of them is simply a black and white version that's a little bit in the background, and the second one, the second footage version, is colored. So the black and white footage will be revealed first, as you see here, and then the colored footage will be revealed over it. So let's see how we can exchange the reveal matte. Again, select the item that you want to replace, enter the reveal mattes right here, and let's choose, maybe you can also again open them up and take a look what these look like. So let's say we want to use this reveal matte number 1 in our scene here. By the way, if you want to know which items are used, you can always click the layer name and change it to source name. Then you will exactly see which item, according to these names here, is used here. Because if you change to layer name, then I just renamed these layers that the layers, or that the layer names match our color controls here, so that you have a better overview. But if you want to know which source we are using, then you can just change this here and can always take a look. Okay, we are using ink stroke number 9, paint splatter number 4, paint splatter number 1, and so on. And in this case, we are using the reveal matte number 3, so we want to exchange it with the reveal matte number 1. So again, select the reveal matte, drag down reveal matte number 1, hold down Alt, release the mouse, and you see immediately some changes. And now I can just press scale again and unlink this and play around with these settings here. So you see, if I scale this, or I will scale it in the Y direction, you can probably see it better. If I scale it out too far, then my reveal matte will reach the border of my footage and I will get this ugly hard line here. So be aware that you do not scale these too much. So I will just scale it down so that we get rid of this line. Like so. Now you see, now we have this nice edge here, and I can scale it a little bit more in the X, make it a little bit bigger, like so. And of course, if I want, I could now rotate it around, maybe like this, and create a completely new look. I can of course also move it over a bit, and move it down a bit maybe. And this looks quite cool. So another possibility you have, I just now only change the reveal matte. If I want to reposition my footage, I could of course select my footage, but please always select both of the footages, because you do not want to have an offset between the black and white and the colored version. So just select both, and now you can reposition your footage. Again, be a little bit careful that you do not reach the borders here, that you do not get these ugly lines here. So just reset it for now. And you can of course also scale your footage and position it that way. Okay, so this is it for the scene customization. I think it's pretty obvious that you can of course hide all elements, or as I showed you, exchange all of these elements to create your unique scenes. So now let's go back to the render composition, and there are two more things that I want to show you in this template. The first important thing is we have two scenes that are a little bit special, and this is scene number 9 and scene number 10. Scene number 9, you probably saw it in the preview, is this scene where we are panning, or we are dollying from left to right, and we are revealing 4 different footages while we are dollying. And if we open up scene number 9, you will see that it's a really big composition with 4 footage placeholders, 2 titles, and a lot of elements. So you can exchange this scene on the fly if we go to the render comp, and maybe you do not want to use this comp, but instead of this use a panoramic image. You saw probably also in the preview that scene number 10 is a panorama reveal. So if we take a look at this scene, you see that it's just one huge footage, a panoramic footage, and you can put in your panorama image. I will just show you this quickly. This is the placeholder here. So let's bring in a panoramic image, import and import file, and I will just choose quickly. Let's say we take this one, looks quite good, open it up, drag it in our footage folder and drag it on top of our placeholder here. And I will just scale it a bit. And now go back to our scene number 10. And now you see we have our panoramic image here, and it's being revealed, in this case, from right to left, because this is the movement of our camera. But as I said, if you want to change these comps, so maybe you do not have a panoramic image, no problem, then just disable the scene 10 pan and enable the scene 10, and you will see it will exchange the scene, and now you can put in 4 different images, more or less the same as in scene number 9. But maybe you want to use, instead of these multiple footage compositions, you want to use just panoramic images, then just change to scene 10 pan and also change scene number 9 to scene 9 pan. Now you have 2 different panoramic image reveals. So you see that you have quite a control over the amount of placeholders and the different kind of footages you can put in to this template. Okay, and now one more hint, or no, let's say 2 more, maybe 3. But what I wanted to show you now is how you can exchange scene. Maybe you want to put in more footages. So let's say you have too much pictures that you want, or a lot of pictures that you want to put in this slideshow, and you want to exchange one of the scenes where we have only 1 footage placeholder. You want to exchange them with one where you have 2. So we have one scene, number 6, that has 2 image placeholders. And let's say you want to exchange scene number 4 that we just worked on with another version of scene number 6. And this is pretty easy too. So all you want to do is you want to go into our scenes folder and then create a duplicate of the scene that you want to duplicate. It's important that you do this inside the scenes folder, inside the project area, and not inside the timeline. So let's say scene number 6 is what we want to duplicate. So select scene number 6 and press Ctrl D to create a duplicate, and now it's called scene 15. And we will change this name so that we do not get lost and call it scene number 4 new, because we want to exchange scene number 4 with this new scene that we just created. And I will do this. I will just select scene, I will just select scene number 4 and drag down my scene number 4 new, hold down Alt and release. And now you see I immediately have my footage 06 placeholders here. But if I now put a footage, I will just do this to show you this, enter our scene number 4 and open up our footage 06.1 and go to double click here, then you also can import footage and just take picture. So let's take this picture of the Route 66 here, drag it in our folder, put it on top of the placeholders and just scale it down a bit and move it a bit like so, and go to our scene number 4 new, I should say. So this one here. Yeah, now you see we have our footage. But now you see that if we move to our scene number 6, which was our original file, then we have the same footage in here. So this is not what we want. We want different images in these scenes. So let's enter our scene number 4 again. So scene number 4 new, I should say. And now we have to exchange these placeholders with new ones. So let's enter the footage placeholders folder. And you see here we have got footage S061 and footage S062, and these are exactly the ones that I used here, and we want to create duplicates from them. So let's just hold down Ctrl and select both of them, hold down Ctrl, press D to create duplicates. And now I could just rename them again so that I don't get lost, and in this case I will rename them to 04 new 1 and 04 new 2. And now I'll just select both of the footage S6 placeholders, take my new one, hold down Alt and replace them, and I do the same with my footage S6 062. And now if you take a look, or I should say now you can put in another image. So let's open up this one and let's import another image. So maybe like this one, import it, drag it in your folder, drag it on top of your placeholders. Let's delete this for now and scale it a bit. So let's focus on this car right here. And let's go to our render comp and take a look what we have here now. Now you see, okay, this is not really well positioned. Okay, it works more or less. And now you have scene number 4 and you have scene number 6, and both have different footages. So the next step of the customization is that we deal with our color correction. You see that we have 8 different presets here, color correction 1 to 8. And actually the 70s preset is activated. So if you deactivate it, you see this is the coloring without any color correction. And now you can play around and try out the different settings. For the preview video, I used the 70s preset, but if I press T to reveal the opacity, you see that I turn it down to 45%. So let's turn it up just to take a look, because they can be a little bit intensive, you know, and maybe you want to reduce the intensity a bit by lowering the opacity, and that's how you can use these different presets. Okay, and the last step before you're ready to render is that we enter some audio, and therefore you can just move down on the bottom here. There is the audio composition. You can also find it up here in the project folder. Open it up and you see we have already 3 audio layers or tracks in here, and these are the sound effects that are included in this template. We have one layer with the brush stroke sounds. Then we have an extra layer with paint splatter sounds, and then we have these swooshes for the transitions between the scenes. So if you do not want to include any of these, then just turn them off here before rendering and import your music file and drag it into the audio composition. Or if you want them to be part of this, then just leave them on. Okay, so this is it. I hope that you like this template and that it's useful for you to create some nice watercolor and ink slideshows. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a mail, or also you can send me a message through my Video Hive profile. Thank you very much for watching, and I really hope to see you soon. Goodbye.